Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our TNA show for the week. Let's jump right into it. We'll start off with the so-so section. Basically this is the stuff that you're not going to remember 2-3 weeks down the road. The first thing I want to talk about is Gail Kim and Lady Tapa coming out making their open challenge, which brings out Madison Rayne, leads to Gail Kim versus Madison. Madison picks up the surprise win. The only thing of real note in this is how much weight that Madison Rayne's dropped. It's kind of scary how skinny she is. I hope someone's keeping tabs on her and her dietary issues, because it looks to me she may have an eating disorder. And, you know, if she's just a skinny girl, that's okay too, but I don't remember her ever being that alarmingly skinny in the past. Other than that, okay match, nothing great. I wish it could have been better. The two of them should have a better chemistry, being former partners and former rivals, so I think it could have been much better. Next up in this segment, Chris Sabin versus Austin Aries. Now, you say you might not be long because it's a title change. However, I wasn't drawn into this match at all. I'm not liking new Chris Sabin, character where he's kind of a pushy to his girlfriend. Him and Velvet Sky thing isn't working for me. I think they should have kept the belt on Austin Aries. He's a way more charismatic champion, and I think he could have done more for the division than the Sabin and the character he's portraying. But I don't know. I don't know why they're hot potatoing the X Division title. It's not going to pump ratings up to see rapid fire changes like this. I don't think fans want that anymore. I don't think, people are tuning in to go, oh my god, there's going to be a title change tonight. Yeah, when it means something we do, but when it's 2 title changes in less than a month, it starts to lose its shock value, especially when you go Sabin loses it to Aries, Aries loses it right back. All you're doing is padding the number of title runs that Sabin has. But anyway, overall not a great match. I think the two, like I said with Madison Rayne and Gail Kim, I think the two of them should have put a much better match on. And last but not least for this segment, we had the EC3 Ethan Carter III Sting confrontation, which is going to lead to a match at Bound for Glory between the two. There's a couple reasons why I dislike this. First off being, why does Sting care so much about Ethan Carter III? Here's a guy that went from Norv Furnham and Dewey Barnes to wrestling Sting the Icon. I don't think it fits well. I don't think they built him enough to where he's not necessarily deserving, but more so that he fits in a feud with Sting just yet. I think he's going to be a great talent. If you watch back the shows, I think he's got the it factor. No pun for Bobby Roode, but I just don't think he's on Sting's level, and I don't think that a feud with Sting is going to do much for him at this point, even if he comes out looking strong in the feud. I don't know, it just seems like maybe they're hot-shotting him too much, and for some reason it's just falling flat for me. Now, speaking of something that fell totally flat, we're going to go right into our bad segment. The only one thing I had real issue with on the show was the Magnus coronation. There's a lot of factors going into it. The placement on the show, having it be the final segment, having it be the final 2 segments, having a commercial in it. It was long, it was contrived. They could have done the same things they did in less than 5 minutes and gave us a more compelling story, more compact story To me, it was an overall waste of time, waste of television. I think it went on about 15, 20 minutes, give or take a few minutes. But it just was boring. It was so boring that I fell asleep, and to review it, I had to watch the next day over again on DVR. And I wasn't even tired. I wasn't, thinking about going to bed yet. I wasn't stressing it. But this show that part of the show made me I was so bored I fell asleep. But, I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with placement. If it would have been the first segment of the second hour, it might not have been as bad in my opinion. But to close the show on such a low note, I think hurt the overall show. Now, before we get into the good segment of the show, we're going to go into our question of the week. The question was, who do you think is going to get the World Championship quicker from now, Gunner or James Storm? First, we got an answer from one of our friends, Lord Bogglesworth. I see Gunner getting a world title first, although Storm can't go wrong as champion. Gunner being pushed with the world title could launch him into the upper echelon of the TNA roster. I'll say this, and it's kind of a surprise. I'm not a Gunner fan, mainly for the stuff he said about $5 wrestling. I've seen he's done some stuff with Zayn and Caleb put over the world where he seems to have a sense of humor about it. Okay, and his ethic and his ring work starting to win me over. The more I see Gunner, the better and better he gets. To me, especially within the last 6 months, he is improving, I don't even know what that is as a word. He's improving at such a rapid rate that I could easily see him being the world champion by the end of the year, especially since he has the briefcase now. But like Lord Bogglesworth said, I could easily see James Storm being champion. The only problem is ever since he was champion for a week, they've devalued him as championship material. I could see the feud between these two elevating both back up into that upper echelon. Maybe Gunner wins the championship at some point and Storm challenges him. I think Gunner is going to be the guy that gets it first out of the two. As much as James Storm deserves it, and as much as James Storm probably should have been champion 2-3 years ago with a decent run, I just don't see it going forward for him at this point. Now, coming off of that, our question of the week for this week is, what do you think TNA should do at the top of their card? Should they have one number one guy or run with a group of guys as the number one guys? Case in point, number one guy would be something like John Cena, Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, the guy that is defined as the number one guy on the roster, or like Paul Heyman did with SmackDown, where you had the SmackDown 6, where you had 6 different guys that were all main eventers and all could carry the show, and you just moved them around and feuded with each other. Let us know what you think about that. Do you think they should do the one guy thing and have one face of the company, or do you think they should put a group of guys as the faces of the company? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Facebook, put it down where? Down there in the comments. Now, getting into the good section of the show, here are some of the things I really liked. The re-debuting Samuel Shaw versus North Ferdinand. Samuel Shaw came out in as kind of creepy stalker to Chrissy Hemme. We seen the little date thing from a few weeks back. Dressed very much like the character Dexter from the TV show Dexter. Had the gloves, had the same shirt. Had a lot of the mannerisms of, I don't know why it's escaping me, Bateman from American Psycho. I don't know why his first name's escaping me. But anyway, the Christian Bale character from American Psycho, which is kind of a similar thing where you have two serial killers that you're convincing your fans to cheer for. I kind of like where they're going with that. I like the deliberate psychoticness of it. The look itself, him putting on the gloves before the match and taking them off after, as to not leave fingerprints on the crime scene, I'm guessing. I like it. I think this is much better than what they had him doing before. This character, I think, can go a long way in making Samuel Shaw a major big-time player in TNA. I enjoyed the re-debut. I enjoy the new character. I think it's going to do amazing things with it. Hopefully, it's not something they drop the ball on. Now, the next thing, we're going to tie two things together. The opening segment with Angle and Bobby Roode. I said it before and I've said it again. This feud is the most interesting thing in TNA right now. Two of the absolute best wrestlers that TNA has to offer, and you put them in the ring, whether it's a promo, a match, or anything else with each other, they do not disappoint. They go all out, and they give you the best that TNA has to offer. That opening segment sets up a kind of a dream partner tag team match, where we get Kurt Angle and Gunner, which frustrates James Storm, and James Storm insists that Bobby Roode make him his tag team partner. For the reunited, Beer Money. A good solid match. Beer Money actually hit a couple of their old, mainstay moves. Beer Money picks up the win. I like the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of aspect to it. Like I said a little bit earlier, when we're talking about Gunner and Storm, I think that's going to be another feud that's going to pick up and carry the company on its back, along with the Roode and Angle feud. I think these are two great feuds going forward. To tie them together, it just works out so much better. I really enjoy where both of these feuds are going, and both the characters, all four of the characters involved, are doing with that. And last but not least, the thing I may have liked this the most in the show. Bully Ray versus Joseph Park. Joseph Park sees him backstage. Bully Ray says, "You don't want to do this, kid? I'm going to set you on fire." Joseph Park still comes out to the ring. Bully Ray does his, I don't know if you would consider it sulking, kind of a Raven-esque, kind of stand in the corner thing. Joseph Park comes over to him. Bully Ray kicks him in the nether regions, or the yam bags as Taz would call it, gets purposely disqualified, proceeds to start spraying lighter fluid all over him, basically to let us know he's going to light him on fire. Pulls out the lighter, and Mr. Anderson comes out, who gets sprayed with lighter fluid as well. The reason I thoroughly enjoyed this is you're going to a really, really dark place with Bully Ray. A lot of companies would be afraid to go this dark with a character, and I enjoy that they're willing to do that. Honestly, I think it would have done wonders for it if he did set Joseph Park on fire. They could have done it in a way that he didn't burn any flesh. He could have sprayed it all on his suit. I understand. I might be a little bit sadistic. However, I think that would have done wonders for Bully Ray's character moving forward. Not that this didn't do great for it. I think that visual would have been something that really stood out and said, "Wow, look." Sorry about that. Look how far Bully Ray's willing to go. The spraying the lighter fluid's far. Lighting on fire, even further. But overall, I thought it was a good segment, and you've heard me say it before, I'm sick of the Joseph Park character. The character in this situation worked well to help Bully Ray's character, which made the whole segment work. Basically, we're going to go right into our ratings for the show. Now, if you've seen the show before, we have a 1 to 5 scale. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. 1's a Jesse Goddard, 2's a Garrett Bischoff, 3's a James Storm, 4's a Christopher Daniels, 5's a Bobby Roode. I'm going to give this show a solid 4, a Christopher Daniels. Not much I didn't really like. Some of it could have been better. Some of it could have been worse. Some real highlights of the show, the tag match, the Dream Partners Matt tag match. Samuel Shaw and Bully Ray with their darker characters, one debuting and one evolving, I guess you would say. But some real good stuff happening, really sets up going forward. Even with the AJ Styles interaction and the Magnus coronation, we're going to get to see that pay off in a week or two. But, not a bad show overall. The only thing that kept this from being a 5 was that end segment and the placing of it. If that end segment if they would have had everything but that segment, I would have gave the show a 5. If that segment would have moved up a bit, I still might have given it a 5 because it wasn't terrible. It was just too long, too drawn out, and at the wrong time in the show. But basically, that's all I have to say about this. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.